Good morning. Thank you for being here. What a glorious day and what a beautiful venue for our celebration this morning. Welcome, family and friends. This is the summer 2017 Baylor Law School Commencement. We gathered today to rejoice and to celebrate the significant milestone in the lives and the careers of these men and women standing before us today. Gaining admissions to Baylor Law School is an accomplishment all by itself. But to have the tenacity, the strength, the courage to survive and to thrive at Baylor Law School, well, that's quite a feat. And we are here to recognize and to celebrate each one of you for your accomplishments today. To begin, I call upon Matt Johns, who is a member of the graduation class, who was selected by his classmates to deliver our invocation. Please stand for the invocation.
Lord God, today our hearts are filled with gratitude for your many gifts. Thank you for guiding us to this wonderful commencement day. We are thankful for having lived, worked, and studied at this great law school, and for the many joys and opportunities we have experienced here. Thank you for the family and friends, teachers and mentors who not only helped us get to this moment, but made us believe that great things are within our reach. Lord God, wherever life leads us, give us the faith to trust in you, the wisdom to know right from wrong, and the courage to stand up for truth and justice. Lord, help each of us as sons and daughters of Baylor Law School to be a healing, enlightening, and unifying force in a world that so desperately needs it. As we embark on our journey into the law, make us stewards of your creation, defenders of human dignity, and agents of compassion. God bless these Baylor Bears, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Matt. Please be seated. We may need to do a little adjusting here. Are we okay? We love being in a church, but they are pews and they are limited in their space, and so I'm not sure we had calculated our seating space correctly, so I think we're okay. Graduates, this is a time of reflection and contemplation. So I invite you to reflect upon your life's journey to this point. Think about all that you've experienced, all that you've endured, all that you have conquered to get you to this defining moment. You should be very proud of all that you have accomplished. We certainly are, and I know your family and friends here today are equally or more proud of you and excited for you than we are. As we think about this journey that you're on, I ask you at this point to think back to the reasons that you chose to come to law school. You shared those reasons with us in your applications. And so for many of you, you had a strong desire to enter this honorable profession, this profession that is known for service, for helping, for problem solving. So we ask you to remember that on this day, that is why you are here. Your desire to make a difference in the lives of your clients. But as lawyers, you will also have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of your communities. You will have an opportunity to make an impact on our nation. As lawyers, we play an important role in society. We are the keepers of the rule of law, which is the foundation of our democracy. And for each of you, you're going to play a very significant role, no matter what your career path is. For those of you who choose to go into the courtroom, you will be part of that system of justice, the administration of a process that allows each citizen to have their day in court. But for my transactional brethren and sisters, you also play a vital role in protecting our democracy. For those transactions that you will negotiate, those contracts, in deference to Professor Ryan, those contracts that you will draft, they are also important as a foundational piece of our democracy. For in this country, those who sign contracts, who enter into agreements, you enter into those agreements with an understanding that it will be enforced. That in this country, contracts mean something, but they only mean something because of our rule of law. So each one of you are a vital part of protecting our democracy. So we ask you to leave here and to remember that role and to own it and to cherish that vital role in every day, in every way that you conduct your practice. Lawyers are not only defenders of the law, but we are problem solvers. And so you will have the opportunity to make a difference in each one of the lives of your clients. But we're not the only ones that are part of this great system. And so we have a tradition here at Baylor to recognize those who are also the defenders of our democracy and defenders with their very lives. So audience, we ask you, and anyone else who's on the stage or in our class, if you have been part of the military, if you have served, if you are currently serving, if you have served in any branch of the military, we invite you to stand. Please let us recognize you and to thank you and your families for the sacrifices of your service. Please stand. Thank you for your service. And while we're recognizing groups, we know that the members of this class have not gotten to this place alone. They have had the support, financial and emotional, from their family and friends who are here. So now I invite our class to stand, turn, find your family and friends, and let us all thank them for their role. Now to introduce some of the stage party at this point. The colleagues who are seated to my right and to your left have been honored by the graduation class because they have been selected to participate in the commencement ceremonies today. Their bios are printed in your programs, and I'll let you read those, but just a quick little introduction for each one of them. Professor David Gwynn, Professor Fusilier. They will be assisting this morning with adorning the graduates with their hoods. Professor Gwynn, he's a master teacher, and I use that term very distinctly. That's a designation given by our university to a small number of faculty who have proven their excellence in the classroom, but also their devotion to their students. He wears that title very fittingly. Now, if you read your bio, even in the first sentence of his bio, it refers to him as the Godfather. And Dean Tobin takes delight in introducing him as our Godfather. Now, I always worry about that because Baylor Law School, we are known for our toughness, almost being draconian in some sense. And so I worry that what does that say about a professor who has 50 plus years of teaching experience? What does that say about Baylor Law School? Is he some gangster leader of an out of control group of faculty members who are just trying to wield mayhem and terror on our students. I worry. Please know that is not what that title means. David Gwynn is the benevolent godparent, mentor, teacher, wise sage to all of us. He has been our counsel for all these many years, and I don't know what we would do without him. So please understand, when we say Godfather, we say it with love and respect and admiration for all the guidance and the wisdom that he bestows upon us. We do appreciate all that he does. His career is exemplary of what we expect of all of our Baylor lawyers. Professor Gwynn, thank you for your many years of service. Seated to his right is Professor Bridget Fusilier. She is also recognized, revered, respected by our students for her teaching ability, but also the amazing amount of time that she spends in helping our students with their journey. She can be the biggest cheerleader and their trusted confidant, but she also understands the importance of tough love because she well recognizes the importance of our job, which is to prepare our students for the imperatives of their future careers. Now, her warm smile and her southern charm will endear you, but it can be very deceptive. Right, class? She is tough as nails, as proven by her record of success as a trial lawyer in Beaumont, beating up on those trial lawyers down there. She is tenacious. I think it's her winning combination of compassion and grit that makes her so effective and beloved by her students. But in addition to her accomplishments in the classroom, she does so much for the law school and for our community. The students love working with her on Adoption Day. Adoption Day is one day a year when the law school gets turned into a fantasy land based upon some children's movie. This year it was Finding Dora. I still remember Wizard of Oz and Professor Fusilier's Dorothy. That was one of my favorite characters. The whole school turns into effectively a playground for these young children who are being adopted. So it's a very serious moment, and the law school students and Professor Fusilier make it a fun and memorable experience for each one of those families, something that they will never forget. And our students are so faithful in helping her, and I know it's a lot of fun. But they're up until the middle of the night before, transforming our building, so it's just an amazing feat. That's not all she does. Because of her work in creating the Veterans Clinic, which is a foundational program within our award-winning public service program, because of her work with the Veterans Clinic, she has been honored multiple times, including just a few weeks ago when we were at the State Bar. The Texas Military and Veterans Law section of the State Bar honored her, out of all of the lawyers in Texas, honored her for her exemplary and unselfish provision of legal assistance to the armed forces personnel in Texas. So again, Professor Fusilier epitomizes all that Baylor lawyers should be, and we so appreciate all that she is to our students and all that she does for the law school and for our community. Thank you, Professor Fusilier. I'll introduce Professor Ryan in just a bit. To my left, to your right, assisting with us this morning in the presentation of the diplomas is Angela Cruz-Turner, who is our Assistant Dean of Career Development. Angela is a Baylor lawyer with a number of years of experience before joining us to be the guide to our students as they're finding that all-important first step after graduation. She is a mentor and a friend of the students, but she is also an advocate for them in any way that she can be to make sure that their experience while in law school and beyond is as good as it can get, and always trying to improve. Students seek her counsel, not just for career advice, but all manner of issues for life. So we appreciate so much that all she does. Her creativity and her energy makes her a highly valued member of the law school team. So thank you, Angela, for all that you do. As you can see with these introductions, these few introductions, we have incredibly talented, dedicated faculty and staff that work with our students daily. Now, we're missing a chunk of our faculty and staff. They're across the pond working in our St. Andrew's program. It's the School of the Advocate. And so Dean Tobin is not here, some of the faculty are not here. Now many of them have individually sent our students emails to tell them just how proud they are individually and how much they rejoice in this day and wish that they were here. So I would like to recognize those individuals, but I would also like to ask all of the faculty and staff who are here, some of them are here, some are in the back, to please stand and be recognized, because I am telling you, as I travel across the nation and talk to other law school deans, we have the best faculty and staff, the most dedicated, energetic, committed to our mission and to our students across the land. That I know from my experience. So please rise and let us thank you for all that you do for our students and for the law school. It is our custom to ask our highest ranking student in the graduation class to address his classmates. So I call upon Dan Hopper to deliver his remarks to his classmates.
Thank you, Dean Teague. Thank you, Dr. Livingstone, for being here today. Baylor faculty and staff, thank you for all that you've done to help us get here today. Family, friends, and guests, thank you for helping us celebrate this wonderful day. And to my fellow classmates, all I can say is, good morning. Coming upon graduation, I started to think about my life and how we got here today, and one particular event really stuck out to me. I grew up in Iowa, and I played football up there. Despite common knowledge in Texas, we do play football in Iowa. And I was visiting with a college coach at a particular college where a certain Baylor law school professor rushed 40 yards a game. And I was visiting with this coach, and he was asking me about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to study and everything, and I had mentioned I wanted to go to law school. And then he got down to the nitty-gritty and said, "What other schools are you considering?" I mentioned a couple, and one of those was a community college that had just risen up in that part of Iowa and had been competitive with the recruits of this college. The head coach gets real stern, walks over to me and goes, "If you go to that school, I guarantee you will not go to law school." At the end of the day, I committed to the community college, and here we are today. And so I'd like to dedicate this speech to all the people that doubted us graduates that we would get here today, especially those times when we were the person that doubted ourselves. I'm so proud and honored to represent all of you today and to be able to give these remarks. There are so many wonderful people here today that are going to do amazing things, and it is astonishing to me that I'm allowed to speak on their behalf. But of course, we didn't get here alone. We helped each other and formed friendships that will last forever. I heard this weekend that there's this thing called mutual suffering, and it's that people that go through challenging, difficult times create relationships that are lifelong. And I can honestly say that each and every one of you graduates, I have a friendship that I truly value. And to quote a certain professor, y'all all bring something a little different. I'd like to thank each and every one individually, but of course I don't have that much time. My family, many of which traveled down the dangerous I-35 to get here, I want to thank you. But I'd like to thank a few specific people. First, my parents, Don and Jan Hopper. I truly wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you two. You've taught me work ethic. You've taught me how to persevere and have the great attitude each and every day. And I'm just so thankful to call you my parents. Thank you. I'd like to thank my PC partner, Jack Olson. We were through it with thick and thin, and there was a lot of thin during practice court. Jack didn't know first year in civil procedure when he sat down next to that nerdy kid that told him every day before class, I think we're gonna have a quiz today. He didn't know just what that meant, but I thank him so much for allowing me to continue with Baylor Law with him. Thank you, Jack. And lastly, I'd like to thank my wife, Gretchen Hopper. Gretchen somehow decided to marry me a month before we started law school, and she's supported me each and every day being here. I think the perfect way to describe our relationship is a couple weeks ago, Gretchen told me about this documentary on the late Justice Scalia, and she said, I'm not gonna watch this with you, but I thought you'd want to know it was here. And it was a very good documentary. So, as I think about Baylor Law School and what we've accomplished, I'm reminded of one of my favorite Bible verses, Hebrews 12:11, which says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. A modern version of this is when Michael Jordan said, I've always believed that if you put in the work, the results will come. Classmates, I know for a fact that we've put in the work. We've put in the discipline and time, sweat, and at least for me, tears that comes with Baylor Law School. And it was painful. But we are on the other side of it now. And we are already reaping the benefits of that. Many of us here today took the bar exam earlier this week, and the fact that we're all still so here, so happy and cheery is just one sign of that discipline and tenaciousness that we've learned here at Baylor. I think that the past 2.5 years here have taught us a lot about ourselves, a lot about our work ethic and what we can accomplish. And to appease some of the professors here, we learned some law too. And we are going to continue to reap the benefits from that time we've put in. That's not to say that there will not be challenges ahead. There will not be difficult times. But that's to say that we know that we can put in the sacrifice, the discipline, the hard work to get through it. And I know each and every one of you will be wildly successful and will truly have a harvest of righteousness. And some fellow graduates, I expect you all to be perfect. And to quote my favorite movie about West Texas football, to me, being perfect is not about that scoreboard out there. It's not about winning. It's about you and your relationship with yourself and your family and your friends. Being perfect is about being able to look your friends in the eyes and know that you didn't let them down because you told them the truth. And the truth is that you did everything that you could. There wasn't one more thing that you could have done. Can you live in that moment as best you can with clear eyes and love in your heart, with joy in your heart? If you can do that, ladies and gentlemen, fellow graduates, then you're perfect. Now, as I said, I'm not a native Texan, so sometimes I don't know which version of Friday Night Lights I need to end speeches with. And so just to be safe, I think I'm fair in saying, on behalf of the 2017 summer graduating class, clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Thank you.
wonderful message, Dan. Thank you so much. Family and friends, we want you to know just a little bit about law school because you've gotten your version. Let me tell you about legal education. Baylor Law School truly is different. This is not the easiest road to getting a law degree, to having that piece of paper to hang on the wall. So that alone tells you something about these men and women before us. They could have chosen some other place. They chose to come here. They chose to come to a place where they knew this was not the easy place, but they also understood that our mission is to prepare them for the practice of law with an expectation that you will serve. It all based upon our Christian principles. That's Baylor Law School. Tough road, but as Dan said, it's with a purpose and it will serve them all well. So we have the 3 short years to get them ready. Now, there has also been a lot of discussion recently in legal education about the need for other law schools to do what we do, which is to prepare them better, students, for the practice of law. So in all the conversations that are going on along those lines, Baylor Law School has not had to change our program, not one iota. Now, it doesn't mean we haven't changed. We're constantly seeking to improve and change our program. We're always moving forward, but not because we have to make changes that the profession says, law schools, you're failing. Baylor Law School has never been that kind of law school. What's interesting is, more recently, the conversations are turning to the next level. Okay, law schools, you need to prepare your students for the practice of law. But there is now this recognition that teaching them to think critically and to learn some practical skills is not enough for a successful lawyer. The studies and the conversations are moving towards character, professional competencies, those things that will make the lawyers successful in life, successful in their communities, and will effectively lead their communities and our nation forward. So while we are known for our practical training, and there is no doubt we do it better than any law school in the nation, and we're very proud of that fact, we understand and have always understood that we are producing a Baylor lawyer, a whole lawyer, a complete lawyer, who is prepared for those opportunities. And so the studies, when they talk about character, they're talking about such things as integrity, trustworthiness, conscientiousness, those things that are a part of our foundation. Professional competencies. Here's what rose to the top in a survey of 24,000 lawyers across the nation. Graduates, see if any of this rings a bell. The things that are as important and perhaps even more important than learning the law: critical thinking, practical skills, character and professional competencies, including attention to detail, speaking clearly and precisely, writing in a sane manner, punctuality, resilience. Graduates, see, there is a reason for that madness we call practice court. Once again, it's confirmation from the profession that Baylor Law School is the model for a modern law school. But there's one more aspect that Baylor lawyers have, Baylor Law School builds on. I'm going to build on Dan's reference to Hebrews 12:11. Your hard work, your discipline, those are the crops that you are planting here in law school. They can produce a successful career for you. But whether or not that success produces a harvest of righteousness and peace depends on your understanding of who you are, what your role is in life in relationship to your faith, to your relationship with God. So you are prepared for the journey professionally, but the true measure of a successful life is the peace and the satisfaction that comes from knowing that you have lived a life well earned, well lived in relationship to your faith. So as lawyers, you will have those countless opportunities to make a difference in the lives of your clients and in your communities. And we know that you're going to do that because from this moment forward, you're Baylor lawyers. And we are so proud of who you are and all that you will become. And speaking of lawyers who make us proud, it's my honor to introduce your keynote speaker, who's one of ours. Professor Rory Ryan was chosen by this class to give this commencement address today. Professor Ryan is revered by his students. They know he is scary smart. And his record and his CV show that. And he is highly respected for that. But we know that high intellect does not always translate into great teaching. But Professor Ryan is both. He is an exceptional teacher. He is gifted at taking complex, difficult concepts, breaking them down in a manner that the students can understand. Students flock to his electives, not because they think they're going to get an easy grade, because they know that is not the case, but they do it again because they want his teaching. They want him to guide them. And he delights in that sort of aha moment when his students get it because of the way he's been able to bring them along in the process to understand whatever it is that he's trying to help them master. He's also a consummate student of the law himself, which endears him to his students even more because they see his passion for the study of the law. So not only is he a great teacher, he is an incredible mentor and friend to his students, and not just while they're in law school, not just while they're in his class, but for years and decades to come. So we so appreciate all that Professor Ryan does in his classroom, for the law school, for the community, and for the legal profession. He is revered in our building and outside our building for his accomplishments. So Professor Ryan, we thank you for all that you provide to our students and that you do in representing Baylor Law School, and I invite you to share your remarks with the class.
Good morning. It is truly a pleasure to be here with all of you all this morning, graduates. Whether you voted for me because you wanted to hear me speak, or because you know I cannot stand behind a podium when I speak. Either way, I appreciate the honor. And joke's on you. Wireless mic. So thanks to Jerry for that. Speaking today is also daunting for me because I truly believe that I learn as much from my students as they do from me. If we had any of the other graduates up here today, I have zero doubt that that would be true again. Dan already proved that to us with his remarks, though I don't appreciate the 40 yards rushing per game stat. So everybody knows I got moved to fullback, so I didn't get the ball the last 8 games that season. So to follow up Dan, I will try to be interesting. That's all I can do. But I can promise to be brief. I've been told gently but firmly that I have about 15 minutes, that nobody is here to see me, that if I sit down early, people will probably clap for me. Right? And this one's just for the graduates, you will be happy to learn that my request for a 3-hour review session of this 15-minute speech was denied. I've been told we can no longer compel you into anything a-thons. So Dr. Livingston, Dean Jackson, colleagues, most importantly graduates, families, and friends, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me the time, and congratulations to everyone who's involved in this process. Believe it or not, I looked through the roster, and I have taught every single graduate in the graduating class. I recall fondly all of our spirited discussions of the law. I recall them as pleasant memories. They might describe them as more intense than pleasurable. And I thought that maybe after 3 years, the graduates wanted to have a day we didn't talk about the law. And I think that you all have probably earned that. So I want to talk about something different and something that's a little bit more personal. I sat in your seats about 15 years ago. Seems like a long time, but it also doesn't. I had just finished the same journey that you have finished. I had just been through 3 years of intense, time-pressured, adversarial, sometimes all-consuming study of the law. And y'all will laugh at me because you know I'm a nerd, but I loved every minute of it. I loved it from the first day of law school. I loved practice court. I loved everything about the law, just like I loved being a lawyer and being a law professor. But what didn't come so quickly for me was the balance between being a lawyer, the sheer intensity of law, and being a balanced person. And so that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about a few things that I've learned in my journey that have helped me not be a better lawyer, but be a happier person. Because in about 20 years, right now you think you're going to run from this place and never come back, I get it. But in 20 years, I will see you at a reunion. I will see you at some reception. And you will run to me and you will tell me all of your legal feats and conquests. And I will be so very interested in hearing all of them. But more important than that, graduates, in those 20 years, I want to find you well, balanced, healthy, and fulfilled. Those are not traits that come automatically for lawyers. I don't want to put a damper with statistics, but it is common knowledge that it is a struggle for someone to passionately pursue the law and still remain balanced. In 20 years when I see you, I want that to be you. I want you to have the legal conquest, but I want you to have the balance as well. It took me a long time to get there, and I'm hoping that by sharing a few remarks, you can maybe get there a little bit faster than I did. The first one, for some of you, is a review session, and I apologize. But for others, you haven't heard my thoughts on priorities. If you have, maybe it bears repeating today. I don't want to just say priorities. I want it to be more tangible than that. Identify your priorities, write them down, and check them against your schedule weekly. Identify your priorities, write them down, and check them against your schedule weekly. Everybody tells me, Johns, that I talk too fast and that they don't have time to write it down, so I can fix it. I'm not here to tell you what your priorities should be. Right? That's for a different person who stands at this podium on Sundays, not for me. But I am here to tell you that I can promise you unhappiness if you do not identify them and structure your life accordingly. I hope some of you go and do that. Maybe tonight. You don't have any more law school. You don't have any more exams. The bar is over. What else do you have to do? For some people who write them down, it might come out something like this: God, family, health, service to others, career, wealth, and comfort. That would seem to be a sensible list of priorities. Let's suppose that is yours. I hope that you will write it down. You will put it on the mirror in your bathroom. You will put it up in your office. And every week, when you look at your calendar, I want you to check it and see if you are living the life that you want to live. Because if you don't check it weekly, trust me on this, weeks become months, and months become years. And you wake up one day realizing that you're not living anything close to the life that you want to live. This never happens on purpose, right? Priorities by definition are what are more important to you, what are most important to you. It happens accidentally. It happens because we treat priorities, unconsciously we treat them as though they're leisure activities. Let me schedule in my work and my job, and then let me see if I can fit in the things that are most important in life. I want to share a very brief story from my childhood. I had probably the most privileged childhood that you could imagine, in no small part because of my parents' priorities and their commitment to them. When I say privileged, I hope nobody thought of money, right? I had 3 siblings, plus me, plus 2 parents. House was a little under 1,000 square feet, closer to 900 than 1,000. 1 bathroom until we were lucky enough to finish the basement a few years later. We never had money, we never had stuff. But we had everything. We had a backyard full of games, we had neighborhood kids, We had a church community. We had security and safety and confidence. And my dad, he grew up so poor that when he wanted to play youth and high school sports, he had to hitchhike there in Butler, Pennsylvania. He put himself through college, entered into a government entry-level position. And when I was too young to know what was happening, he was offered a major promotion. Came with a lot of money, the kind of position you might read about in the newspaper. It just required relocation from Lincoln, Nebraska to Kansas City. And I didn't get it at the time. I just knew we never moved. And so I asked my mom about it this Christmas. And I said, why didn't we ever move? And her answer to me was, why would we have? I said, why would we have? We had everything that was important to us. They offered us power and money. Why would we have taken that and risked the things that were more important to us? I'm not telling you that because that necessarily needs to be your answer. You might value financial security in the future more than that. You might weight it differently. But my hope for you is that you will be conscious from the small weekly calendar to your major life decisions about what makes you happy. Second, this one sounds so cheesy that it's probably the last thing that you all expect to come out of my mouth. But I believe in it very strongly. For the parents and friends and family that maybe didn't get that joke, it didn't seem like anybody did, but just in case. My reputation probably isn't one of being a terribly emotional, soft-hearted. I'm a little bit more probably logical and kindly firm in the first year maybe. And so when I tell you that the second of my 3-point speech is to look for the good in the world, you might be taken aback a little bit. But again, take it from personal experience. It's kind of an odd beginning because way before I was married, right, understand that my happiness is 100% due only to my wife, not this other stuff, right? But before I was married, looking back, I can reflect on not really being all that happy. And I used to frequent this one little convenience store on Interstate 35. It used to have a big white smiley, or a big yellow smiley face on it. Not a very nice place, but it's kind of by where I lived. There was an older gentleman who worked there, and when I say older, I mean really, really, really older, all right? And he spoke very, very slowly, but he always had a smile on his face. I can't imagine how much of a wreck I must have been. That one day when I came into the store, we didn't even have any dialogue. We didn't even talk. He just looked at me and he said, you know, if you want to be happier today, just go around and look at all the good you see in the world and write it down. And so I did. I left the store, and as I was walking out, somebody held the door for me. Not a big deal, right? They held the door for me instead of coming in sooner. As I drove home, I saw nobody cut anybody off, and I saw everybody merge onto the interstate. And in fact, I saw that for about the next 6 weeks as I tracked it before I saw one person cut another off. But what do we talk about? We talk about the one person that cuts the other off, and then we say, Texas drivers, right? They're horrible. Because we're not looking for the good. We're not looking for the good. I came to the law school, and as I entered, someone held the elevator for me, and about 20 people smiled and said good morning, right? That was not self-serving, because as the law students know, when you see your professor in the hallway, you want to turn your face and hide so they don't recognize you in class. But they all did it. On the way into the building, one of my colleagues was helping a student change a tire. I went to lunch that day, and I saw every single person I was with and at other tables tipping, even though there's absolutely no obligation to tip. I went to the grocery store, and I observed people of all ages, races, shapes, and sizes harmoniously working through the grocery store, even pleasantly dealing with the kids running around, making it harder for everyone. But what do we remember? We remember the one blog post we read about the woman who got upset in the checkout line. I observed people all day and night. I saw not a single Democrat fight a single Republican, or anyone else for that matter. It changed my life. And it's important for you in the law, and here's why. If this ever happens, you should call me, because I predict that it will not. No client will ever enter your office, say, what's your hourly rate? And you say, $300. You say, great. I just want to tell you how good of a day I'm having for an hour, and then I can pay you, right? That's not why clients call lawyers. Clients come in because they're in times of crisis. If you're a divorce lawyer, they come in because they want a divorce. Something's gone wrong. Maybe their business is at stake. Whatever it is, they're in times of crisis. if not tragedy. And so it is very easy when that is your day, when that is your constant exposure, it would be very easy to conclude that the world is dark and cynical, because that's all you're seeing. You're not looking for the rest. And what a shame it would be, right? You know the people. Hopefully we're not becoming the people. They see an athlete on TV point to God after a touchdown, and he must be doing that for endorsements, right? No senator could ever say a word that was genuine. There must be ulterior motives. And then you start repeating stuff like, see, wireless, right? Then you start repeating stuff. You start repeating stuff like, oh, society today, how can anybody raise kids these days? I hope you'll reflect on the good in life. The snarky cynicism that permeates the anonymous comments on the web, that you see sometimes permeate the website or the law school, and that settles in for a lot of lawyers, it is not an intellectual answer. It's an ignorant one. If you look for the good, you will see the good, but you have to look for it. It's not a myopic view, it's an educated one. You will see your share of tragedy. What I am hopefully convincing you of is seeing tragedy and crisis all day tends to make you unhappy. It sure would be good if you saw a lot of good stuff going with it. And you don't have to make it up. It's already there. Just look for it. Third, shorter and almost done, find your way off of the satisfaction treadmill. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that phrase before. Find your way off of the satisfaction treadmill. The behavioral science of happiness and satisfaction is fascinating and amazing and terrifying. Things like buying a new car, getting a new job, winning the lottery, getting a promotion, those things have zero impact on most people's long-term happiness. It's amazing. It's called the satisfaction treadmill, right? We consider wherever we are to be normal. And normal doesn't make us happy, right? It's just normal. And then we see things that will make us happy, right? We see things that we think we want to make us happy, and they do when we get them, until we have them, and then they become the new normal. The satisfaction treadmill goes nowhere because you always view as normal what you have, no matter how blessed. I know, personally, I know how rough a rough day of practice court is. I also know that things will happen to you in life and law. You'll be treated unfairly by partners and judges. But at the risk of preaching just a little bit too much, you live in the most privileged country in the world. You had the means and obvious support in this room to not only get into, but also finish an elite law school. You are not concerned that stray rockets will hit your house. Your country is not in a civil war. You might think your deposition is heated, but you are not working out in the real heat for $1 a day in a third world country. The reason I bring that up is if you were those people, if you can put yourself into that perspective, into that persona, and you could look in this room today, heck, even if you could look into the library at 1 o'clock in the morning and people are doing a little extra memo that was given out, you would so badly want to be them. And you know what you would think? You would think, oh, if I were them, I would just be so happy. There's only one cure for the satisfaction treadmill, and that's being conscious of it. I want you to be driven and to seek things. I know from the last 3 years that you will be. Just because you're always seeking advancement and you're seeking more, don't ever lose sight of what you have and just how privileged every single person in this room really is. Before I sit down, I just want to say just a brief word that's not related to happiness, right? To kind of send you off and welcome you into the Baylor community. One thing has never changed about Baylor Law School. When someone is a Baylor Law graduate, by definition, she can handle anything that is coming her way, right? And the way we know this, it's kind of both funny and true. It's because of a couple t-shirts that students know that parents and family and friends may not know. The first one says, Baylor Law School, where fun goes to die. Well, today, not only are we going to talk about that, but you've always wondered about the origin of that t-shirt, haven't you? 15 years ago, my best friend, right? I'm now the godfather to his child, wrote that shirt and invented it. in the Baylor Law Review editor's office. His fantasy football team is still called Where Fun Goes to Die. The second shirt says, at other law schools, the third year is a joke. At Baylor, the joke's on you. When you walk out of this building and you get your favorable bar results, you are empowered immediately to impact parents' custody. You're immediately empowered to take into your trust a person's liberty or the fate of their business. To prepare you for that, the fun had to and died just a little bit. We wouldn't be preparing you for that if third year was a joke. And boy, I know it was not. But now, you made it. There's no room for self-doubt. And I am pleased that we now share the same degree and welcome you to the Baylor family. Thank you.
Wow, we all got a Professor Ryan lesson today, how privileged we are. He's so right. Your job is to live well in the law, where attitude is as important as action, and where we understand that our privilege brings great responsibility. So we look forward to what each and every one of you will do as Baylor lawyers. Now I have the privilege of introducing our new president. Dr. Linda Livingstone is the 15th president of our university in our long history. And she's joining us today in what must be one of her first official appearances as president. Although she is new, if you'll look at your bio, you'll see that she is not new to Baylor. She is new as our president, but not new to Baylor. When she left Baylor in 2002 to become the dean of business school at Pepperdine and then to go on, she was loved and respected by everyone here for her contributions to the university and for her leadership ability. While we hated to see her go, there were some of us that thought perhaps someday she will come back and will lead this great university. And so she has been welcomed back, and we are celebrating with the assurance, knowing that she is an extraordinary individual and she is the right person to lead, to guide, and to direct this great university. The law school, we have a long tradition of working closely with our presidents and with the university administration, and we have no doubt that that will continue under her leadership. So I invite you to deliver your remarks.
Thank you so much, Dean Teague, for that generous introduction. I might have to have her introduce me at every event that I get to go to in the coming years. It is wonderful to be with you today, and so fabulous to see family and friends in the audience. We know it wouldn't be possible for our students to be where they are today if it weren't for your support through many, many years. So it's wonderful to have you with us. And to our graduates, congratulations on this momentous and very exciting day in your life. And while this is your sort of last official event at Baylor, as you begin the next chapter in your life, as Leah noted, this is actually my first sort of official event, official graduation as the new president at Baylor. And even though I've only been on the job for about 8 weeks now, I have already had people ask me what I want my legacy as Baylor's president to be. In a way, that seems like a rather odd question to be asking someone so early in their tenure in a new role. But, as I reflect on that more, it does make a lot of sense that you would be asked that question early on. Because if you begin to think early about what you want your legacy to be, it's much more likely that that will actually become the legacy that you have in your new responsibilities. So today, as you graduate, you become a part of a great legacy. Broadly, you are a part of the Baylor alumni family legacy now after your graduation, but more specifically, you are a part of the Baylor Law alumni family legacy. I've had the privilege in my short time back at Baylor to begin meeting many of our really wonderful alumni and friends here in Texas and across the country. And among those I have met are many who sat where you're sitting today in previous graduations of our law school. As I begin to meet our law school alumni, it is evident to me that their legacy is having a profound impact across Texas, across the United States, and around the world. First, I think it's a legacy of excellence. You are graduating from one of the most rigorous law school programs in the country, which has become very evident to me today, listening to what everybody's had to say. In fact, the Princeton Review calls it the Marine Corps boot camp of law schools. I think that must make Professor Powell the drill instructor. Is that correct? You also are moving into a group of folks that have exhibited a tremendous or developed a tremendous legacy of service. I have met so many law alumni, even in this short period of time, who are serving in the state or national legislature, in government service in Austin or in Washington or around other places around the country and around the world. They're in significant roles as senators, representatives, governors, attorney generals. The list goes on and on if you look back throughout the history of the law school alumni. You also are becoming part of a legacy of integrity. As I meet so many of your fellow Baylor lawyers, it is clear to me that they take very seriously their commitment to legal ethics and proper professional behavior, seeking always to uphold the standards of your profession, but also, and probably more importantly, seeking to do the right thing for the right reasons. So I encourage you now to begin early in the stages of your career to consider what you want your legacy to be and how you want to contribute to the Baylor Law alumni family legacy that has, for so many years before you, enhanced the visibility and reputation of our law school and served society in such significant ways. Pro Ecclesia, Pro Texana, Pro Futuris, for the church, for Texas and the world, for the future. May your legacy be one of excellence, one of service, one of integrity for the church, for Texas and the world, and for the future. Congratulations, and thank you so much for having me with you today. And now we're ready for what you're really here for and what you've been waiting for, the conferral of your degrees. So I'm going to ask Dean Teague to come back up so that we can continue with the ceremony. Dean Teague.
Candidates, please rise. President Livingstone, the candidates standing before us have completed the requirements for the Juris Doctor as prescribed by the faculty of the School of Law and by Baylor University, acting through the authority of the Board of Regents. It is my honor and my pleasure to present to you this class for the conferral of the degree.
Thank you, Dean Teague. Each of you have completed the requirements for the degree of Juris Doctor as set forth by the Baylor University School of Law. Upon the certification of Dean Brad Tobin, Dean Leah Teague, and the Faculty of Law, and on behalf of the Baylor University Board of Regents, it is my pleasure to confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor. Congratulations.
Now, as our graduates begin to move forward for the conferral, first row if you'll move forward and second row you can sit. We have instructions today for the audience. This is audience participation time now. Family and friends, we're a small ceremony. We'll take our time. That gives you plenty of opportunity to show us just how much you love your graduates. Please note, we will be measuring that love and devotion based upon the decimals that you raise in this beautiful auditorium. And with that, let's move forward.
Brandy Marie Addison, cum laude. Catherine Susan Bartles, cum laude. Andrew Stephen Bird. Roger David Bishop. Brittany Abatello Bramlett. Rachel A. Buhorn, magna cum laude. Brittany Nicole Bunch, magna cum laude. Brittany Gale Clear. Virginia Elizabeth Heisel Cox. Michael Joseph Crow. Robert Jackson Decker. Taylor Jeffrey Diamond. Jonathan Cole Emmert. Victoria Sawyer Feather. Lauren Ashley Fetty. Eileen Marie Glazer. Savannah Rain Griffith. Johann Charles Jarden Holter, cum laude. Sarah Michelle Hollop, cum laude. Daniel Willard Hopper, summa cum laude, highest ranking student in the commencement class. Matthew James Johns. Chi Young Kim. Christy Needler. Tara Leday. Erin Ruth Lovejoy, magna cum laude. Melanie D. Medina. Jack M. Olson. Michael Stephen Perez. Christopher James Ratway, cum laude. Mark Thomas Ratway, cum laude. Andrea Noel Seffens. Mitchell James Thrower. Ben Wang, cum laude.
One more round of applause for all of them. Graduates, you have officially earned the title of Baylor Lawyer. It's a title for which you were tested and tried. It's a title well earned. And with that title goes opportunity and responsibility. And as you go forward in your path of life, remember, lawyers, we are the keepers of the rule of law. We are the protectors of our democracy, which means we are the protectors of our very way of life in this privileged country in which we live. You will have opportunities to serve and to make a difference in your communities. And as Baylor lawyers, we know that you are prepared and ready to serve and to lead with honor and integrity in all of your days. So we welcome you to this noble profession that we call law, and we welcome you with love to our distinguished family of Baylor lawyers. Thank you for each of you for being here today. As we conclude, there's a few thank yous to wrap up. I want to recognize our registrar, Jerry Cunningham, for all that she does. And Meredith Meyer is here, same thing. We just have incredible staff along with our faculty. Thank you to all of the staff who are here to help today. Thanks to the organist, Mr. Hank Corello, for the beautiful music this morning. And again, family and friends, thank you so much for all that you've done for the graduates. Thank you for sharing them with us for 3 years. Thank you for your support of them and your continued involvement in their lives as they move forward to start this next leg of their journey. Now, as we adjourn, we're going to recess out the middle aisle, but we're coming right back because we're going to take the photo right here. So if you will stand for the recession, let us recess out and come back in, and then we'll release you to find your graduate, and then we are hoping that you will all join us at the law school for a reception that's sponsored by the Alumni Association and give you an opportunity to see those classrooms in which your students not only toiled, but they strove for excellence, and they're thriving today because of the experience. With that, we're adjourned.